Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Cameron Nunez and this is my vlog. It's been a couple weeks since my last one, but funny enough, that was actually pre-recorded months ago, so it's actually been quite a bit since I sat down in front of the camera. It's funny kind of getting all this set up again. I was on the road with Knocked Loose for about a month and a half. I know I didn't get out that last vlog until like a couple weeks ago, but I'm trying to keep updated. I've had a little bit of downtime and I got lazy. I guess the best way to say it is I definitely got very lazy. I've been meaning to kind of do one of these and just keep them going. And coming into 2020, I want to get better at that. Currently, it is New Year's Eve, so excuse all the fireworks probably in the background. Our neighborhood sounds like a war zone at the moment. But I guess this whole episode is kind of basically my time with Knocked Loose and being on tour with everybody. Easiest way to break down, it was one of the most fun tours that I've ever been a part of.
How's the blue? Oh no.
The bands are all amazing. It was Knocked Loose, Stick to Your Guns, Rotting Out, Candy, and SeeYouSpaceCowboy. I went into it with friends already on the tour, and I knew it was going to be a good time, but I didn't expect it to go as amazing as it did. The shows were insane. Between crowd participation, overall vibe and energy of everybody, these shows were just so much fun, and I feel like everybody got along, and there was no odd man out, there was no weirdness. Like, I feel like everybody meshed so well together, and it just made for a very good time.
You blew it! You blew it!
I'm very grateful that Knocked Loose allowed me to take up space in their van as well as put a camera in their faces, just non-stop.
Wow. Bro, real dirty though.
Fuck, you're so hot.
So dude. Whoa! Whoa!
Zero!
I know it could be a little bit overbearing at times, but I really love a lot of the stuff that we got, and it was just so fun. I ended up recording and shooting something like 6.2 terabytes of just content. But as far as the breakdown with that, a lot of stuff was shot on the Red in like 5K, around 60 FPS, and a little bit higher depending on kind of the situation and lighting, as well as shooting off the Sony Vision Hi-8. Converting these files, they tend to be a little bit big when you bring it into the easy converter. Converting it through H.264, it definitely can take up quite a bit of space. Even though the resolution is kind of so-so, it seems like the files are quite large. Also shot off the A7R III, which those files are also massive. So if that puts things into a little bit better of a perspective, you can see why there was so much memory that was taken up. Luckily, I had 2 lacy hard drives with me, so that amounted to like 8 terabytes of free space that I could kind of utilize. So I wasn't really too worried.
What the fuck are you doing?
No, please don't do it! He's so young!
Please stop, you have so much to do.
So dark.
So I joined everybody out in Anaheim, and that's kind of like where I started.
How's the blue? Oh no.
Hey Cam, what's up, buddy?
I'm like really zoomed in on your face right now.
Oh, nice. Oh shit. Whenever she tries to roast me, I can literally just look at her and go,
No, I'm not gonna. No.
Also brought out the Contax T2. For those that don't know, it's a premium point and shoot. I know the band wanted some stuff that was a little bit more lifestyle and candid, and this camera is just like perfect for those types of things because it is small, and also just the aesthetic of the point and shoot film is something that I think a lot of people like, especially nowadays. It makes me wish I hadn't sold my Yashica T4 because I gotta say I like the image out of that camera a little bit better, especially for like shows. The flash on this is just not as pleasing as that one. So I might have to buy another one of those sometime soon. Like having the red, I was worried about not having enough light at the shows, but thankfully Taylor was actually LDing for the entire tour and she made my job so much easier. When you feel like you're at mercy to the house lights, there's a lot of venues that kind of disappoint. I mean, like overall, this camera does need a lot of available light, and like pushing the ISO anywhere past like 1000 to 1600, you really do start to get kind of like a very noticeable grain. I love the Epic Dragon, but it sucks in low light. It is just not meant for that. And with a lot of these shows, I had to shoot with the 24 to 70 or the 16 to 35, and having those lenses not go faster than f2.8, that also was a hindrance. I had some other lenses with me, but shooting any type of live music where there's a lot of motion, like hardcore, metal, punk, at f1.4 is pretty much impossible. Overall, I just had a lot of fun. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, you know, I've been back home for a couple weeks and I feel like I've just been dead. I shot a music video and I've done a couple promo things, but there's just something about being on the road. I don't know what it is, but I love just being out and just being able to shoot every day and edit every day. Just kind of keeps you on your toes, and I feel like you just naturally stay active. So I felt really good towards the end of that tour. But with that said, I do have something cool coming up in April that I don't really want to talk about yet. I feel like with 2019, it's just the year of bad luck and just jinxing opportunities, so I'm just going to keep quiet on that for now. But I look forward to it. Hopefully everything will go right. I'll knock on wood. But I guess I'll kind of give a quick overview. I don't want to like break down every show because I feel like it'll just get tedious for anybody who wants to watch. Again, it was just crazy energy. Like every band was just so good at what they do, and every band had such a unique sound. So I loved being able to watch everybody. Like I feel like even if there was days that I didn't shoot everybody, I still pretty much watched everybody. That was probably one of the most fun things about the tour, was I just got to be a fan for a little bit. Like most of the time when I go to shows, everybody expects me to record these things. Like I don't ever really go as kind of like a patron or just like somebody in the crowd, and I kind of miss that every now and then. Like I think of the days of like stage diving and head walking and like doing the things that I did when I was like 16, 17, and having such a rough year leading up to that, it just brought me back to a really good place. And that's something I'm also very grateful for, because I was definitely like on the verge of losing it. I feel like everybody that I've talked to and all my other friends kind of like feel very similarly. 2019, it's just kind of struck a nerve. I'm very happy to say good riddance after today. So shooting with the red, I did as much as I could with that camera. Like just for me as a videographer, when I first started out, like owning something like this seemed very impossible. So like having the slow-mo at such a high resolution and getting the image that you get out of it, it just makes for some really crazy moments, especially with the crowd participating the way that they do. Like there were moments where you had just everybody screaming along and bodies just moving constantly. When you see all that in this like buttery smooth slow-mo, it just hits you super hard, especially when you can like speed ramp and do some really cool stuff with that. Like stage dives look insane. You can basically just watch somebody kind of like float across the screen. I did a funny video where I just did all slow-mo takes over a cover that Rotting Out did, and it's just funny because it's this very southern guitar riff with like a string slide guitar, and you just get this impact as you just watch as people just like violently jump and crawl over one another. And I think that was just really cool. As far as thinking back to like some of the things that I shot, that was definitely something that I really enjoyed putting together. And again, having Taylor on lights really made my job so much easier, because she just delivered something that was very consistent and something that I could kind of plan with, and it made planning some of these shots very easy for me. Like Guided by the Moon specifically, she would come and spotlight Brian every single show that she could. She would have these two Chavez that would just come and basically just like cut through the stage, basically create this like V pattern directly on Brian, and then she would blue out the rest of the stage, and it just had such an impact as far as the actual look. But having a lot of those strobe effects and the backlighting that she was controlling made for a lot of really cool moments, like having slow-mo of Isaac just like kicking super hard and doing these spins while playing guitar, and having a couple moments of like Cole just headbanging super hard and having him just completely washed out or backlit. It made for very cinematic moments, and like lighting is just everything. So again, thank you so much, Taylor. So I love a lot of the things captured in that way. The only thing that sucks about shooting slow-mo with the Red is you get zero audio. There were some moments that I wish I had had live audio so that I could have utilized that with a lot of the recap videos that I pushed out. So I wish I had brought my actual recorder with me, but most of the stuff I ended up just dubbing instead. And it's funny, I shot a lot of things on the Red, but the band just seems so drawn to the VHS that pretty much most of what I used for all the highlight videos for the band's socials was all Hi-8 film. And what's funny also is I know a lot of people thought that it was like a filter that I was utilizing or some type of program that I was putting it through. And sorry to disappoint, but it's basically just all the time-consuming process of digitizing film from that camera. For me, I had no complaints just because putting together footage from that camera is really easy. It's all very consistent. Low light is never a problem. And just like the overall aesthetic of that, it's kind of like point and shoot film. Like it's very hard to kind of like pull anything out of that camera and not just like it. You really do kind of get a sense of nostalgia, and it definitely puts kind of like almost like a time period on a moment. Even though we are in present day, it definitely looks like something more so from like the 90s or like early 2000s. And like I know a lot of us think back to like those old live videos of like hardcore bands, so I think we all were kind of unanimous as far as utilizing that for a lot of the B-roll and like a lot of those kind of like candid moments. I brought a couple things to tape with me, so I was just going as far as shooting just basically moments in the van, just like kind of like traveling, walking around, and just interactions between friends. Everything you guys saw on the Instagrams and Twitter were all pretty much from that camera as far as video. There's only a couple of times that I spliced in some digital stuff, and that was just because there were some like really big or important moments. So but I'd say about 99% of it was from the Handycam, which for anybody interested, super easy. You can find these things on eBay for less than $100, and to get the converters and the connections will cost you probably another 20 bucks. Also, my first time in Canada, I had anticipated possibly being on the tour, so I got my passport quite literally like the week before I left. So that ended up working out perfectly for me. It's kind of like a new thing for me. I know we went out to Montreal and Toronto, and it was cool. I mean, it wasn't like a huge deal, but everything was predominantly French, and just seeing a different atmosphere, it was just like, it was just rad. I mean, I can at least say now that I've been outside of the country. And the people were super friendly. Had a couple Beyond Burgers, some ramen, and that was pretty much it. I want to say there's only really one place that didn't allow video, and of course that was in New York. I've just never had the best luck in New York. I don't want to go into it in too much detail. I will say there are friendlier ways to kind of handle some of those things. I took pictures, but my main form of capturing media is video. So when I'm told I'm not allowed to do video, it is definitely quite a bummer. But I just took the time to catch up on some editing and just kind of hang out. I met a couple of people. Finally got to meet Angela Owens. That was amazing. She's a very talented photographer out in New York. I'm a big fan of her work, so that was awesome getting kind of chat with her for a little bit. Also got to meet the famous Cat of Pure Noise. I got to see her at a couple shows, and she is probably one of the warmest people I have ever met. Also a super talented photographer if you want to check her out as well. I got to see and shoot some bands live that I didn't really think I'd get the chance to. Got to see the Warriors out in Anaheim on day one for me, as well as On Broken Wings and Worcester. Seeing that band and knowing the history of violence as far as the shows go with that band, that was very fun for me. I'm trying to wrap this up because people are supposed to be arriving in a couple minutes, but I do miss everybody. I mean, like, I made a lot of friends. I had an amazing time, and I'm very grateful. Again, it was just kind of like a perfect scenario for me. I was already a fan of everybody. I love the band and people that make up Knock Loose. Whether I get the chance to go on the road with them again or not, I like wish them nothing but the best, and I look forward to seeing what they do in the future. I know I've said it before, but I think that band is just special, and next year I know they have a lot of crazy things going on, so definitely be on the lookout for those. But thank you guys so much for watching. I got FYA coming up this weekend, and then I'll be leaving for LA for a little bit less than a month, basically a day after that. I gave myself some time to kind of like hang out and shoot with some friends before NAMM. Super excited for that. Lisa's coming along, so we'll be able to kind of like go explore and hang out together. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Take care.